3 games into the season with like one of the younger teams, not the youngest team, that'd be the Mystics, but like one of the younger teams, and claim that you just got done telling your players that they are selfish in the locker room. Hi, I'm Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And this is Raising the Game, a women's sports podcast covering primetime performers, the business behind the athletes in the leagues, and what the growth of women's sports means for the next generation of women's athletes.
We are here, episode 20.
20.
Who would have thought?
I did.
You did. You set a goal for us.
I did.
You did. So
we're almost halfway to it.
It is amazing what a week does. We have gained 120 followers on social media.
Yeah, something happened last week, y'all.
So we won't dive too deep into that. We've got PWHL.
Yes.
We had an exciting game tonight we'll talk about.
Yes, game 3 happened just before we sat down to record this.
Yeah. We've got WNBA.
WNBA is heating up, baby.
We're going to talk about a controversial topic.
Refereeing.
Always controversial.
Just to be clear.
We can't get fined when we talk about them. So
yeah, that's right. We'll talk about it all day long.
And then some NWSL roundup, I think.
Yeah, a little roundup of the NWSL. As we start to look ahead, we've talked a little bit about it, but heading into that international or kind of the World Cup break that's coming up for the Men's World Cup. So every point matters right now.
It does.
As teams kind of square up how they're going to look going into that second half.
Yeah. All right. Should we do some announcements or some favorite things?
Favorite things first. I have 2. One was, so as we've mentioned on previous episodes, my daughter is playing like organized soccer for the first time. And she has decided that she wants to play goalie.
Yep.
Which is what I played when I played soccer. And she had some really incredible saves over the weekend.
She did.
I just got to shout her out.
Yeah, it was great.
She was brave. She stood in, held her ground. And she seems to also want to learn the position, which is really cool. I'm not getting like too high of hopes, but it was just like fun and she seems interested.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My other favorite thing is just the people who are engaging with us on mostly Instagram, but on our social media. We just really appreciate all the engagement, the interest in what we're talking about. I don't think that we would have imagined that happening in a week.
No.
We had one clip get over 20,000 views, which is pretty crazy. And so this is all new to us. So we're kind of absorbing it, kind of enjoying it, and also learning a lot
about social media that you would have thought millennials knew about social media.
Yeah, we did not.
Yeah. So, mine?
Yeah.
All right.
Yours.
Well, so first off, we are recording this on our anniversary night. So welcome to our date night.
This is our date night. Yes.
8 years, 20 episodes. This is great. This is fun. I like doing this. I love doing this. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
And then also one of the followers that we got over the weekend introduced us to something new that we didn't know existed. I believe it's the Women's Football Alliance.
Yes.
The Minnesota Vixen, which is a tackle football. I think they also do flag football, but tackle football here in Minnesota. It's all over the United States, but they have a team here in Minnesota. So I thought that was really cool and I can't wait to check it out. Yeah.
I think we're going to try to go to a game here in a couple weeks when they're back home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
All right.
Ready for headlines?
Let's do headlines. In the PWHL, the Ottawa Charge stave off elimination in the final minute of Game 3 in the Walter Cup Finals.
Yeah, so overall, Montreal leads that series 2-1. We'll talk about it a little bit more here in our PWHL segment. Montreal did oust.
They did.
Our Minnesota Frost.
No three-peat.
But that's okay. We are cheering for the Charge.
We're no longer the villain anymore.
No.
Right? 2 more expansion teams confirmed in the PWHL with Las Vegas and Hamilton, Ontario to join Detroit in the 2026-2027 season.
We're going to talk a little bit more about this, the announcements last week and the fan reaction a little, but we're also expecting an announcement for the San Jose expansion, potentially by the time you are hearing this.
Yeah, potentially tomorrow. Today is Monday. Record, so
we're hearing Tuesday for San Jose.
236 players applied to entry draft from 15 countries.
Yeah, so if we were worried about being able to fill 4 more teams, worry no longer. We're going to break those numbers down in our segment, but plenty of women want to be playing in this league.
WNBA action heats up with tight games, surprise wins, and a lot of settling in still to go.
Yeah, again, we'll get into this a little bit more in detail, but I think the thing I'll call out here is I mentioned this as the season was about to start, right? And it was like, this is sort of a like spotlight year for the W, really, really important. How are fans going to show up? Sellouts all over the place, y'all. All over the place.
Yeah, it was great.
Season ticket sales are selling out. Arenas are selling out. So momentum is looking good.
It's looking good. All right. Opening weekend game between Dallas Wings and Indiana Fever had 2.5 million viewers, making it the second most watched regular season game on ESPN, 4th most watched all time.
Like I said.
WNBA formally approves the sale and relocation of the Connecticut Sun to Houston, where they'll become the Houston Comets.
So the Comets, right? It's called back to like the dynasty days. They won 4 championships in a row, behind Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson. Like those were the women that I grew up watching play basketball in the W. And so that's huge. I think again we've talked about the controversy about the move, and I have to wonder if it's affecting the Connecticut Sun play in this season right now.
NWSL match week 8 featured season rematches, scoring streaks, and a top-of-table clash.
My top highlight from this is that Mal Swanson has returned to active duty, folks. She is off the I don't know, postpartum list. It's not really injury. I don't want to call it that.
What a team to come back to. I think we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Gotham FC is in advanced talks to move to MLS team NYCFC's new stadium in Queens, which will be opening in 2027.
This is going to move the team from Harrison, New Jersey, where they currently play, into Queens, New York. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this today. We're not going to go super deep in it, but like you're essentially asking for a brand new fan base.
Yeah.
So anyways, we'll get into it. Interesting move.
Yeah. Racing Louisville ownership group Soccer Holdings is exploring a partial sale to a minority investor.
So all the press clippings around this are like, okay, just to be clear why we're doing this, we are not looking to relocate the team.
Yep.
We are looking to maintain competitiveness in this league. And we need more money.
They need more money
to be able to pay the players that we need to bring to Louisville, Kentucky, which I feel like, yeah.
So we probably don't have enough to get in.
No, probably not. I know. I thought about it. Right. I thought about it. It's going to be an anniversary gift.
It's not bronze. Bronze is 8 years. So
okay. Never mind.
I think soccer's 10. Internationally, Australian striker Sam Kerr officially confirms Chelsea departure.
Yeah, wow, what a legend. She ends her WSL career here with 5 titles, 3 FA Cups, 3 leagues championships. So these are all different kind of tournaments. We won't go into the detail of that right now. And 115 goals in 7 years, which ties her, or maybe is one behind most all time.
Yeah.
Fran Kirby, who plays for Manchester City United. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. What's interesting though is she did not say she's done.
Yeah.
And so now it's got a lot of NWSL. It's probably got Racing Louisville, right? Looking at it going, hey, could we get her over here? Her wife is American, also international national team player, Christy Mewis.
Yep.
They just had a baby. And so I could see the draw potentially to come back.
I sometimes don't read the stats that you put in here until we're on air. And I read that. I was like, this is an insane stat line.
Yes. If you have an opportunity to watch Sam Kerr play, take it.
Reporting was shared last week indicating that the NWSL's high impact player rule, aka the Rodman rule, is already being amended to remove the specific qualifying criteria originally stipulated.
Yeah, we'll talk again. This will be another one in our NWSL segment. We'll talk a little bit about. It's interesting to me that they are already considering changing this rule when it technically hasn't gone into effect yet. Yeah. So we'll get into it a little bit later in today's show.
Bundesliga head coach Marie-Louise Ada finishes her interim stint managing Union Berlin with a 4-0 win over Augsburg, which also kept Union Berlin from relegation.
Yeah, we just had to follow up. Yeah. She got her first win as the manager, interim manager last week.
Yep.
She had a draw the week before. So finishes, bolstering their stat line or whatever with a few points. It sounds like she will be staying on with that program to coach their women's team. But just stepped in as they got rid of their original manager and had a pretty flourishing finish there.
Elena Svitolina defeats Coco Gauff for Rome title in thrilling fashion to claim her 20th career title.
Yeah, this was, I think Gauff gave her a run for her money. Good to see Coco back in a final. She's gotten close the last couple tournaments, but this is as these players are gearing up for Roland Garros in the French Open, which comes up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. In NCAA softball, super regional matchups are set with heavy SEC representation. Best of 3 series will begin midweek. I put this in our what to watch, and it reads like a NCAA football or NCAA basketball tournament.
Well, it's all SEC
teams. It's wild.
There's 16 teams left, I think, or something like that, and they play these super regionals now, and it's literally over half of them are SEC teams. But I think this is one that I certainly would just have on. It's really exciting. There's a lot of momentum behind college softball in particular. And I can see we've talked about how volleyball is probably the next pro sport that's going to kind of grow. Softball might be kind of close in that realm.
You think about Big Four men's sports, baseball's in there. So softball's got to be probably something coming up.
There's a lot of hype around college softball for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move it on to our first section tonight. PWHL playoff picture. We could have came into tonight knowing our champion.
Could have.
But we do not yet.
Because the Ottawa Charge are those girls.
Yes.
They have been gritty all playoffs. Remember just a few mere episodes ago, we were here being like, that's just silly. Yeah. Why wouldn't they choose them?
Yep.
They only had 9 wins. These teams have 16 wins and 13 wins and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
I heard the announcers tonight in the game saying that 9 wins was a record for the team in the regular season.
Right.
So that was actually really positive for them. And clearly they are a playoff team, right? They took us to 5 games in the final. Was it 5 games or at least 4 games in the final series last year? They've been in the playoffs every year. They seem to just flip a switch when it comes down to these must-win situations.
Yeah.
And this whole series has been a battle. Yeah. This was the first game that didn't go to overtime.
Yep.
Montreal won both in overtime, 2-1 victories, close games. So
tonight was wild because it was going into third scoreless.
Yeah.
And you think, all right, the next goal basically wins this game.
Exactly.
And Montreal scores.
I know.
And then Ottawa comes back and scores 2 more with the last one coming in the last minute and just insane. No, I didn't think anything was going to get past either of these goalies tonight.
The goaltending in this series, the whole playoffs, frankly, the goaltending has been insane. Yeah. But the goaltending between Renee Debian and Gwyneth Phillips is a masterclass.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're not facing shots. We've talked about the shots that Phillips has faced here before.
140 some last series.
50 more than Aaron Frankel, right? And you're just continually seeing them whether it's, getting the pad out there for some kind of toe save. Gwyneth Phillips is amazing with her paddle, or just like flashing the leather and snatching that puck out of the air. It's pretty impressive to watch.
Yeah, it's great. So I think we were going to talk a little bit about just kind of the matchup here, Ottawa versus Montreal, what some of the kind of meaningful things are behind that matchup.
Yeah, so I think couple of the things here, like obviously we were, as Frost fans, we were bummed to see the Frost go out, but as women's sports fans, we can really celebrate the fact that we're going to get something new, right? And I think that's what helps grow the game at the end of the day. And so in this playoff series for the Walter Cup, you're going to have a Canadian champion for the first time, which I think is really exciting. And when you think about hockey, like you can't not think about Canada.
For sure.
You also can't not think about Minnesota. So it feels like kind of fitting. But I love that there's this weird karmic balance in my mind of like the US won the Olympic gold. And so now a Canadian team is going to win the Walter Cup. And frankly, a lot of Canadian Olympians are on between these two teams left here. So I think that's pretty cool. You have 2 women as the head coaches of these 2 teams. So Corey Chevry and Carla McLeod. Corey Chevry is the head coach of the Montreal Victoire. Carla McLeod, the coach of the Ottawa Charge. What's extra impressive to me, Carla McLeod actually had to take time away from the team towards the end of the season to get treatment for cancer.
Oh, wow.
And has come back and is now coaching the team. And she has just this like very calm, but very like it's intense, but without it feeling like an overwhelming intensity. It's like a steadiness, right?
Yeah.
She had a presser after the second game, which we'll maybe talk a little bit about in a second here, where, well, I'll talk about it right now. Essentially, the goal that Montreal scored to win the second game was the player was open because the net front defender got tripped by another Montreal player, and so she was out of position, and then they scored. And so they're asking her about it, and she talked about how it should have been called.
Yeah.
But then she was like, that's sport. Yep. That's like what happens. And we have to reload and go to the next thing. And I just like had a lot of appreciation for how like level-headed that response is. And also understanding like no amount of your complaining is going to change what happened, as unfair as that really was. Right. I think everybody who's seen that clip, you're like, textbook.
As a fan, I can't even imagine going out there and being like, I just got to be calm about this and move on to the next one, even though that is what's best for the team right now.
Right. And I'll say too, just watching the game tonight, there was a TV timeout. So Montreal had just scored their first goal. And like Alex said, it was 0-0 going into the third period. Montreal scored with maybe 12 minutes left to go in the game. So like still a decent amount of time, but they kind of got to that like middle of the period timeout, TV timeout. And when they got back from break, they showed on camera what she had done. She pulled her team like close on the bench. She's like telling players like, get down here. And then she's like, you can just imagine like what she's saying to them in that moment, and then they won. They turned around and won. Right. They fought back. So they really embody her, I think, on the ice, you know?
So.
And Corey Chevry seems great too. Like very poised. Both of these women, I think, lead in a really excellent way.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm going to kind of go to the stat side of things. One of the interesting things I saw about Montreal is of the 12 playoff games that they have played, and now we can count it as 13.
Yeah, I think I know what you're
11 of them, so now 12. So 12 out of 13 playoff games they have played in their existence have been 1-goal games. They've won by 1 goal.
God, I feel bad for their fans.
Yeah, it's a heart attack waiting to happen there.
Oh, man. I think it's intense. They're a remarkable team. Despite there have been some, I think, missed calls against them throughout the playoffs, there was definitely some stuff going on in the Frost series, but other teams would say the same thing.
Yeah.
I do think they're the best team they were the best team in the league 100%. During the regular season, and I do actually think they're the best team in the playoffs. But sports doesn't care who's the best team on any given night. They care who's there in the right spots, hustling, doing their thing.
If Ottawa wins, I will be very excited for them. I think if Montreal would have won tonight, it would have been like, kind of makes sense. They were the best. So
yeah. What I'm going to be watching for, so game 4 will be, I think, on Wednesday, so the night that this episode is released. They'll be back in Canadian Tire Center, so they're still in front of a friendly crowd. They had almost 17,000 people.
Yeah, it's wild.
There tonight, setting a playoff attendance record. And I just think like the hype there is real. The Charge really ride on the momentum that their fans give them. And so I think that gives them a little bit more of a chance in this game 4. But coming back from being 2 games down in a 5-game series is really, really tough. So we'll see if they can do it.
Yeah. 2-goal lead's the worst lead in hockey.
The worst lead in soccer too, believe it or not. It's probably the worst lead. 2-score lead is probably the worst lead in anything. Sport.
All right, should we move on to this expansion news?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
We had, obviously, Detroit, I think, was announced before. I think we talked about that last episode.
Yeah, that was a week before.
Since then, we have had Vegas and Hamilton have been announced. So we have 2 East-ish coast teams and 1 West Coast-ish.
Ish, yeah.
So there are a lot of speculation around other teams that may or may not happen. I think the biggest one right now is San Jose.
San Jose, yeah. Which we talked about that, I think, last episode too. Like, Bay Area really makes sense. It's a haven for women's sports in particular. And so I think I would be surprised at this point if that's not where they're going. But yeah, it was interesting kind of following along as these announcements were coming out last week, specifically with Vegas and Hamilton. For the most part, fans seemed upset. Detroit, everybody celebrated. And the reason for that is that Detroit has been part of this takeover tour, which we've talked about here on the pod, where it seems that the PWHL is kind of doing some market testing, but also, like, if you actually go back and read or listen to what the branding of that was in the beginning, it was just to like bring professional women's hockey into places that don't have a team. Right. Because last season when they expanded, they ended up expanding to Seattle and Vancouver, who were recipients of takeover tour games. I think fans made an assumption. And not wrong. Inaccurately. I think we were even thinking the same thing.
We said that a lot.
Right? That the markets that were going to get teams were markets that were getting these takeover tour games. And so the reaction to Vegas, Hamilton had takeover tour games, but Vegas and then San Jose in particular has been
less
than thrilled, right? And so it'll be interesting to see like how this all shakes out.
Received a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think and I think it was interesting because when we talked about this many episodes ago, it was that they're doing their homework, not necessarily that if it's successful it will be here. Because that is what I think we even talked about this last week, is like there has to be other things than just fan intent.
There's multiple criteria.
There's a lot of criteria, and even where they had sellouts and takeover tours, there was something else there that just didn't hit. And so I can see how you might be confused as a fan to be like, we had this great turnout, why aren't we getting a team? But it had to have been something else.
Yeah. And the big thing that we've talked about here before is just like the sharing of the venue oftentimes with an NHL team, right? And so do we have enough time in the schedule to be able to do that? We know that we don't get ownership of that, so it's sort of like a, hey, we'll make space for you in the rotation. I do know that I read, I think it was Calgary in Canada did not get a team because the GM or whoever is in charge of that decision or made the statement of the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Right?
We're a women's sports podcast. Okay. We don't need to know the men's sports.
It was like, we would love to have a team, but we like can't make it work.
Yeah.
Right. And in Canada and maybe some other US markets, like they're not just hosting NHL teams. There's AHL and other, like there's other leagues that are playing there. So don't get it twisted. It's not like it's just the NHL team. But I know Washington, D.C. was one in that boat that we read, in Denver.
Yeah.
Now on the flip side, Vegas and San Jose and Detroit all have NHL teams who clearly were willing to come to the table and meet kind of the terms that the PWHL was setting out. And one thing that I've actually learned through reading about this is that Vegas actually has one of the fastest growing youth girls hockey rates in the country, which I would not have pegged Vegas for that. But I have to assume that in some of the more typical hockey spaces, that's already pretty saturated because you kind of grow up around it. You're expected to play it. So if you go into these like warmer weather markets where maybe hockey isn't like the first thing you're thinking of, there's more opportunity for upside. So sheer numbers, I don't know what that means, but growth rate obviously looking good. And I think they saw that as like an opportunity to kind of capitalize on, hey, there's growth in the youth side. And I'm not talking about, just to be clear, I'm not talking about this in like a pipeline to the PWHL for players. I'm talking about fans.
Yeah. Fans.
Right. You're going to have people who want to go take their daughters or their sons to go watch this team.
For sure.
So,
but it could be a pipeline. So let's talk about.
It could be a pipeline.
Let's talk about this draft that we have. 236.
You're not going to let me talk about the colors?
Oh, we can talk about that if you want. Somehow they made a worse Green Bay. I think in Hamilton. Was it Hamilton?
No,
or was it Vegas?
No, I think I sent you like a really, really funny text because you sent me a screenshot, and I was like, how did we end up with like gopher colors where we pretend that the baby poop yellow is gold?
Yeah.
And then we have this like pea green with the gold, which is Vegas's colors, which may look good on.
We'll see.
I'm imagining breezers in that color, and I just can't.
You mean hockey pants?
Stop that.
Yes, I hate that color.
Yeah, it was. I was kind of like, this is a choice. The other thing I do, sorry, I don't want to move off of this too quick. The other thing I do want to say is I am excited for all of this, and we will talk about. There's some pushback on like, well, can they expand that fast? We'll talk about that with the entry draft thing.
Yep.
The Hamilton choice does seem interesting to me. Given that Hamilton is like right next to Toronto.
Toronto's right there.
I think they're like an hour apart, maybe.
And then you have Buffalo if they ever end up with a team right across the border.
Yeah, but even like Montreal, like it just, if you were to like pull up a map of Canada, you're kind of like, wow, that's a lot of teams in this like tiny kind of, not tiny. Canada's huge.
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah, we were looking at it. We're like, oh, wow.
We are trying to learn our Canadian geography, to be clear. And so that one was interesting, but it could kind of be a little bit like a, cities in the US that have multiple teams, or you think of like kind of New Jersey, New York, like right there.
Yeah.
And like, that's like, could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see how it works.
So now let's talk about how we are filling the pipeline.
All right. Yeah, we have 236 players joining the draft. If I did my math right, there's 103 openings.
Yes, that's what we believe. As long as they're not changing roster construction,
or any retirements, or
so that was something I was going to talk about. So there is Hannah Brandt has already come out, and she plays for the Boston Fleet. Said she's going to retire. I am interested. Last week we talked about the more mature players in the league.
Yes,
and with some of these changes, will there be some more retirement announcements?
Yep.
At the same time, you've got players coming back who are like 39 years old. And so we'll talk about that in just a second. 103 spots, 236 players. So tryouts are going to be insane.
That'll be fun. Are we going to have a combine? Like,
I kept thinking as I was writing this segment, I'm like, they got to do tryouts, right? Like you got to try out to make the team. Oh, yeah. Can you imagine how awful that would be? It'd be so much pressure. So breaking this down a little bit, because the numbers were interesting to me. We have 128 forwards. We have 69 defensemen, 38 goaltenders. The number of spots open, if you kind of go based on a typical roster construction, which usually you carry 3 goaltenders, you carry about, what would that be? 8-ish defenders, probably, maybe like 1 extra, depending on your reserve players. And then you're going to carry something like 12 to 13, 14 forwards. Again, I'm including like reserve players in my numbers right here. That means across 4 teams, you're looking at 12 goaltenders, about 36 defenders, maybe a little bit less, and about 55 forwards. So if you heard the numbers I just said, 128 forwards, there's 55 spots. That's a battle. 69 defenders, there's 36 spots. 38 goaltenders, there are 12 spots. So you're essentially saying 2/3 of you will not make a team. Right? And so if we are sitting here concerned about this pipeline, we should not be.
If we're concerned about expanding too fast.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Obviously, the argument against that would be like, well, you don't know the quality of these players. Well, we kind of do, actually. So if we look at this draft class coming out of the NCAA here in the States, it is nuts. A ton of Olympians from multiple different countries, right? You have players who have been playing overseas who are coming over and wanting to take a shot in the PWHL. You've got players coming out of retirement who are doing it. And so I think it's really cool. Just to it'll be really interesting to see. It's a fundamental transformation in the league.
And I think just like the rhetorical question I was like thinking about was, what does it say about this league that a 39-year-old is coming out of retirement after 7 years to try and get into the league? People from Switzerland, Japan, Czechia, Italy, Taiwan, Netherlands, they want to come over and play. So, like, what does this say about how this league is run?
Yeah. Right? I think that's
I think it says a lot.
I think that's a great point. I think, too, it might, it obviously speaks to the opportunity to play outside of the States, but like it's interesting that as soon as you open up the number of roster spots that they're going to have now, you do have people who have access to the league right now saying, hey, I'm going to shoot my shot.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Okay, so this person that we keep alluding to, because I feel like we should just talk about her.
Talk about this.
Canadian Olympian Megan Augusta is coming out of retirement after 7 years at age 39. Wow.
I got a chance.
You have a chance. So do I. This is why I keep training the way that I do. She's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, a 2-time IHF women's world champion, and she is currently the 4th all-time leading goal scorer in the NCAA. There have been a lot of really good players that have come since she was in the NCAA. So like that, to me, that was like the most impressive thing I read on her resume today. So I'm excited to see if she gets picked up.
Yeah.
Because I want to see that. I just want to see her. I want to see her play.
I want to see that. I want to see the draft. I want to see her go up and get her jersey if she was there.
Yeah, right?
That would be so cool.
I know. So other players that we're going to be keeping our eye on here in the entry draft, which I think is, what do we say, June 17th?
Yep, June 17th.
In Detroit. Top pick contenders, you've heard us mention these names before, but Caroline Harvey out of Wisconsin, Abby Murphy out of Minnesota, Layla Edwards out of Wisconsin, I could just keep listing Wisconsin players.
Yeah, mostly Wisconsin.
Like Lacey Eden out of Wisconsin, Kirsten Sims out of Wisconsin, Tessa Janicki from Penn State.
Yep.
But then you've got Finnish stars. So 3-time Olympian Petra Nieminen, I learned, has been a leading scorer in the Swedish leagues for a number of years. She was like the 2023 MVP. Obviously played on their Olympic teams last couple of times here. And then she also teamed up with now former Gopher Nelly Latinen, who is just on the team there too. So you're going to get some European talent coming over, and then a couple goaltenders to keep our eyes on. So Taiwan, the lone Taiwanese player in the draft, is a goaltender. I'm going to totally butcher her name, and I apologize, but Su Ting-Su?
That's pretty close, I think. I feel like that's good.
And then the Swiss goaltender, in the article that I read today, I was told by this person who wrote the article that this is the best goaltender outside of the PWHL right now. Andrea Brandli.
Okay.
No idea if I said that right either. But she just helped lead Switzerland to a bronze medal in the most recent Olympics. Amazing. So I am excited.
I believe it.
I am excited to see how this goes. I will be watching the draft.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be very curious over the next couple of weeks here how this whole thing plays out.
Yeah.
Because remember, folks, we've got players to protect.
Yep.
We've got, exclusive negotiation target lists to make. Yep. We've got EFOs, which I always forget what that one's called, and then foundational player offers, and then re-signings, and all of these things.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting draft because I normally would not watch any hockey draft because they're a lot of times it's kind of like MLB drafts where they're drafting the rights to players who are still in high school or early college.
This time.
And so this is going to be like an actual kind of fresh out of college or an international, all that type of draft. So it'll be fun to watch.
And then attaching to either teams we already know and love or these like new teams that we're kind of excited to see how they go.
Yeah. All right. Let's move it on. Are we talking at WNBA?
WNBA.
Talking WNBA. All right.
Oh, I should have added in favorite thing. I had the pleasure of going and seeing the Lynx play last night. So shout out to my friend whose sister had tickets and asked if I would come with. And then shout out to Alex for making that happen here at home.
I thought I was going to get to go.
What?
Just leave the kids here.
Oh, well, next time. But we're going to go through, I'll talk a little bit about that. They played the Chicago Sky and lost. So, but I want to go through just like thinking of full week 1. So we officially kicked off the season last Friday. We've had a little bit over a week now of play. Just some like ups and downs that I'm noticing so far. So I think from an ups perspective, Asia Wilson, after the Aces like total flop in their opening game, their ring ceremony game, they are off and sort of running. They had a little bit of a challenge against Atlanta on Sunday this past weekend.
I think they're 3-1 at this point, though.
Yeah, they are. But I'm just saying they almost lost to Atlanta.
Yeah.
But the reigning WNBA MVP is looking like the front running WNBA MVP. She did in not this last game against the Dream, but over the Sun, which you could argue like, they're not that competitive right now. Dropped 45 points on 83% shooting from the floor.
We mentioned this Asia Wilson.
This is Asia Wilson. Yes. Yeah. That is crazy pants.
Yeah, that's insane.
And she's not shooting she's not just shooting layups. She's got like a crazy mid-range game. Yep. So that's impressive. I will say that in the midweek game where the Lynx beat the Wings, that our girl, Courtney Williams, had, 21 points or something like that on 9 of 10 shooting from the floor, which if you do that math is 90% field goal shooting, which is insane. But then she turned around and had a really bad shooting night last night. All right. Speaking of the links, Olivia Miles, our rookie number 2 overall draft pick, tearing it up. She is making history. I think you mentioned this last week. But I think just getting to watch her in person last night, just the way she sees the court is a little bit scary.
It's crazy.
And I think it's very clear she's got things she's got to learn.
Yeah.
We got to start to make some smarter decisions on those passes and things like that. But you said this, like her ceiling is so crazy. High. Is so high. Caitlin Clark records her 12th game with 20 plus points and 10 plus assists in her 57 game career, which is setting a record for both quantity of that stat line for number of games and the speed with which she got there. I think the next closest player did that or got to 11 or something in like 400 some games.
Oh my God. And it's not just games. That's games played, right? It's not like
games played.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was out for a little bit and that doesn't count. Okay.
No. That doesn't count.
That's still wild. Yeah. Holy smokes.
So she's we continue to kind of see this offensive production from her. I think so far this season, she did just have a really good game over the weekend against the Seattle Storm on Sunday. But the game prior to that, where the Fever lost to the Mystics, she was having a real hard time finding the bottom of the bucket until she needed to. Ended up hitting the shot to send them to overtime, right? But she seems, it'll be interesting to see if she is starting to find her rhythm a little bit more. So we'll be watching for that.
Absolutely.
And then Atlanta Dream, baby.
What is going on here?
I think it's good. Like they took down the Lynx, right? Yep. In that first game, they overcame a 19 point deficit against them. They beat the Wings. We'll talk about the Wings in a second. And then they took the Aces, the defending champions, to the wire, and they had been down in that game by 18 points or something like that. It was a big deficit. So Alicia Gray, she's showing up. Ryan Howard didn't play in that game against the Aces. Angel Reese is doing Angel Reese things, right? They've got Jordan Canada. Like there's potentially a good thing brewing there. Yeah. They need to shoot better. They weren't shooting very well.
Yep.
But that was a GM pick in the poll, like third most likely to win the championship. So we shall see. But that Reese trade is looking like it
is.
Might be.
Can you continue to take people to the wire and expect to win?
What's that?
So they took the Aces to the wire. And lost. Yeah. Right. They took the Lynx to the wire and won.
Yeah.
How many times can you keep kind of doing that, like coming back and having to win?
I can't tell if you're being cynical or not.
I'm asking the question: is that sustainable?
I don't think so, but I think what it demonstrates is fight. They're not rolling over when a team goes up on them by 19 points. They're fighting back, and then they're maybe getting the outcome, maybe not. But you want if your team is demonstrating resiliency in the first couple of weeks when like we haven't all figured each other out, there's people coming off of injury, coming back into the season or whatever it might be, like to me, a lot of the skill and like the technical and like the strategy execution in a season is going to come with time.
Yeah.
The mental, if that looks good early on, and right now, again, it could change, but right now the Dream look like they've got some bite to them.
Yeah.
That is a great sign to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So no, I think they would like to probably be winning games by more, but I think seeing them be able to fight back and not like look at some other teams that have gotten down by that much and then they stay down, right?
Yeah.
I just think that I think it's a good sign.
Yeah. All right.
What I will say on that front is we were watching that game and I said to my daughter, as the Dream were roaring back and closing that gap, this is where a championship team is tested. Can the Aces close out the game?
Yeah.
They got the ball to the point guard, and the point guard hit the shot she needed to, and they won the game. This is Chelsea Gray, by the way, if you don't know who the point guard is. So yeah, I think they are worth a watch. And then just generally speaking, Eastern Conference off to a strong start, behind some really strong backcourt play across multiple teams there. And then everybody but Connecticut is off to a strong start. Connecticut has lost all their games. Brittany Griner's been out. She was their big blockbuster trade. But I just feel like that, like we said, I just feel like the move is like...
Yeah, it's going to be hanging over them all season.
Yeah, it's a pall for sure. So, all right, Downs, man, this was so sad last night. Yeah, you want to say it?
Well, yeah, I mean, just Rickea Jackson on kind of a normal kind of bump play there and planted wrong and just totally looks like an ACL injury. I don't think we've gotten confirmation yet, but went down hard. Down for a while.
Yeah, there's been some like commentary. Her teammate Tosh Cloud came out and was like, "This is why the referee needs to be better. Like, you got to protect the players." I love Tosh. I love that she's sticking up for her teammates. I don't think there was contact that created that situation. She literally just... I've seen enough non-contact ACL tears in my day that like that's what that looked like. To be clear, we do not know at the time of this recording what happened. Real bummer. Rickea was looking like she was going to be a lead dog there for Chicago. And that team actually looks formidable. Camila Cardoso in the middle was not allowing much to happen for anyone who went to the bucket.
We were kind of joking that they were kind of a hot mess.
I think they're not.
And they're not.
I think they're not a hot mess. I think they got a lot of effort in that team. And I also have to shout out Gabriela Jaquez. Like, she looked great last night. She looked like a vet. She looked calm, cool, collected. She put up 20 piece, I think, and 8 rebounds. There were multiple times just in the game where like I could see that she was frustrated with a call or whatever, and she just kind of like, locked in, and then she'd hit a big shot when they needed it. So I think big shout to her.
Selfishness in the locker room with the Wings.
Man, it is...
How do you come out and say that?
It is messy, y'all, to come out...
Oh, this is the hot mess.
On what are we in 3 games into the season with like one of the younger teams, not the youngest team, that'd be the Mystics, but like one of the younger teams, and claim that you just got done telling your players that they are selfish in the locker room.
It's like, why do you don't say that to you did say media. That to your players. You don't say that to the media too. It sounds like you're just like, got a bunch of millennials that are just selfish here. Like, you sound like some boomer talking about kids, like these darn kids.
To be fair, I do think the Wings have some things they got to figure out. I think you talked about it last episode or the episode before, but like they have a lot of guards.
Yep.
A lot of what could be really, really good guards. Yep. Or are really, really good guards. And like they seem to not be able to figure out how to like optimize that.
Yeah.
We watched them play the Lynx, and the Lynx ended up beating them. I would be worried about their defense.
Yep.
Specifically pick and roll defense.
Yep.
Was not very good. So maybe they can, which is funny because like they have Alana Smith now, who came from the Lynx, was the co-defensive player of the year last year with Asia Wilson, like Jess Shepard. They've got length, they've got experience. I'm just not really sure. But
like a coaching issue.
Okay, you said it. You said it, not me. But it's like, also when your coach is coming out of the locker room saying like that he just said this stuff to you, I'm just like, but to be clear, the other thing I want to say is we are 4 games into the season. Let's like let them figure it out for a little bit before we have a hot take.
My question was, do we have a hot seat already?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think so. I think it's crazy in sports these days. Like, I think the seat is hot immediately once any sign of, trouble. I would say potentially there's hot seats all over the board in the W right now. But I think we need to get a little bit further into the season to like really pass judgment here. And I think too, we also have a tendency to forget that while Paige Beckers is a star in this league, she is in her second season.
Yeah. Yep.
So she's essentially, a very young player too, trying to figure out a system and whatnot. So, well, I'm sure we'll be talking about them more in the future.
Yeah, I think we will.
Contrasting my comment about the East, the Western Conference is not looking strong outside of the Aces. There's a lot of kind of back and forth. So the W seems to be doing a couple instances
back-to-back games.
Yeah, where like far East Coast teams are playing far West Coast teams back to back. So like the Tempo went out to LA and they played one night, they got to rest, and then they played again, but both out there at Crypto.com Arena. And then you had, I think the Liberty did that with Portland. And like for the most part, those series are splitting. Like they're not really, there's no one really like kind of taking supremacy there. I'm guessing that is actually a better thing for the players to not have to do those long, multiple time zone change of things. But the West is looking a little bit like a struggle bus. Nobody besides the Aces, nobody really like seeming consistent, I'll say.
Yeah.
Again, what's consistency when we're four games in or 5 games into the season? I will say though, on the terms of downs, Seattle looks like they're going to be about what we thought.
Yep.
A little bit of a hot mess. Not really sure what is going on.
Flage's having fun though.
Flage is having the time of her life, and I love that for her.
Yeah.
And I hope that she just continues to.
Absolutely.
And I think that her energy actually will be a little bit contagious up there, and like hopefully that's just brings some positive momentum their way when it comes to performance on the court. But the Sparks. So the Sparks, if you look at the Sparks roster, you'd be like, wow.
Yeah.
I'd take that team any day. We got
Kelsey Plum,
Nneka Agumake, Cam Brink, but Dearica Hamby, Ray Burrell.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of players who can find the bucket. They defend well, right? And I haven't watched them, which can be problematic.
Yeah, it can be for some people.
Yeah. But just again, looking at that roster and having watched those players before, I would assume that their record would be better than it is right now. And again, feeling out period, you talked about the importance of like these first 10 or so games, and we're about halfway there. So we'll see. But that one has been a big surprise for me that they just haven't been able to kind of find a little bit of a rhythm yet.
For sure.
So
what have you been noticing about these first 4 games or so? Is there anything that's popping out? Anything that's loud? That's stopping games for some reason?
Oh gosh, yeah. I'm sure you all have too if you've been tuning in. It's called a whistle.
Yeah.
The refs called have them. A whistle. Are we gonna talk about it?
We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about the refs. And again, I can't get fined, so I can say whatever I want. Let's talk about this. There's been a lot more stoppages of play, a lot more whistles. The stats around this: 22.3 fouls and 23.1 free throws per game in 2026 versus 17.5 fouls and 18.2 free throws in 2025 so far. So a huge increase.
Yeah, and that's like the big thing here, and I'll probably come back to this a few times, but like that's a material difference in the game outcome.
Yeah.
5 points is what you're talking about. Plus you're talking about, what was it? Five more fouls. 5 more fouls. So we are seeing, I feel like, more players foul out or get into foul trouble, which changes the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Keep going.
And so for the reason for this, There was an off-season task force that was set up, players and coaches, to address the physicality and I think the consistency of refereeing. We talked about it. We didn't have a podcast yet. We were talking to the air, but we talked about the refereeing a lot last year. We saw it in the Commissioner's Cup game we went to. There was a lot of inconsistency.
It's been an issue in the W for a number of years now, right? And there's been comments from players, coaches, fans, officials, GMs, like you name it, of we are struggling with the physicality that's allowed. We feel like it's jeopardizing player safety. It's jeopardizing like some elements of the game that make it more entertaining, and we need to fix it. And so that was what Kathy Engelbert pulled this task force together, and
the big focus
they're working through it.
They're working through it. The big focus here was freedom of movement for the offensive player.
Yes, you will hear us say that a lot.
We will say that a lot here. I think we have a quote here from the WNBA head of referee performance and development, which is apparently a position that exists. Sue Blanche said, "What came out of our meetings was we didn't really change any rules or change an interpretation. When we drilled down into the nitty-gritty, it came down to we needed to strictly enforce our current guidelines. So that's what you're seeing more of, a more stricter enforcement of freedom of movement." Which I don't know how that doesn't become a different interpretation or whatever, but
yeah, having not read like the rule book, right? It's hard to know, but it is very clear when you watch games that they are. It's weird because they're like protecting offensive players more. Like the calls go more in the favor of an offensive player versus like them letting it go. I don't think right now it's making the game better.
No. Well, and I feel like that's part of the reason that sometimes people watch the WNBA is there's a little bit more defensive mindedness than in the NBA, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see how that takes us. Another little tidbit here was that the tech foul fines were overhauled. Techs 4 through 7 are now $1,000 each. The 8th tech is $1,500 plus a 1-game suspension, and the old max was $800.
Woo! I mean, those costly.
It's a big change. We have some other stats here. We have 12. It was 10 yesterday. It's now 12. It's gone up. 12 of 15 teams currently averaging 20 plus fouls per game.
Jeez.
And last year, the Connecticut Sun led the entire WNBA in 2025 at 19.6 fouls per game.
So the old league leader is now below average.
Below average of the current 4 games in. Again, we're talking 4 games in. Free throws have exploded. 5 games this season with a team at 25 plus free throw attempts. There were only 25 such games in all of 2025.
Yeah, that I was thinking, like I mentioned Asia Wilson's 45-point game. 13 of those points were free throws.
Jeez.
Right. So that's at least, what is that, 7 fouls called against her, assuming that was all on 2s or weren't and 1s in there. And again, I go to like this has material impact.
It does.
On the game, and we'll talk about it here in a minute, but like I'm kind of like, how long is this adjustment period gonna take? Like where players, so in officiating, good officiating is we all understand the rules. Like players, referees alike. You come out, the refs usually communicate at the beginning of the game what their like points of emphasis are gonna be, right? Because we want the game to be entertaining. Right? We want it to be fair, but we want it to be entertaining or whatever. And I think right now you can really see players struggling, just like they struggled before with like, why isn't that a foul? Now they're kind of like, why is this a foul?
So looking, here's some feedback from players and coaches. We have Stewie saying, "That's insane. Calls that are unnecessary on both sides, and then there's no flow." After being called for 31 team fouls versus Washington.
What?
31. We're talking.
It's a lot of whistles.
Last year, the average was 19.6.
That's a lot of whistles.
And then we've got Cheryl Reeve, Minnesota Lynx head coach, saying, and she was on this task force apparently.
A game is 40 minutes long.
That's
so 31.
One every minute
and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got Cheryl.
For just that team.
Yeah.
Let alone the other team.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
That's every 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got Cheryl Reeve, Minnesota Lynx head coach, who was part of this task force, saying, what I'm confused about being on the task force, we talked about unnecessary physicality. We didn't say we want to call marginal fouls. We never brought that up.
Yeah, I think, I think that's some of what, like, even being at the game last night, right, was like, there's just like some things that got called where you're like, what? Well, like, how is that a foul?
Yeah.
Right. And then there were other things that weren't called. You're like, how was that not a foul?
Yep.
And again, it's that understanding between the players and the officials so that you can establish a flow in a game. Like I honestly cannot imagine what that game was like that Stewie was just talking about. I know they went into overtime. It was like a 95-93 or 98-95 or something was the end score. But like that had to have been just stop the whole time.
I couldn't do it.
So frustrating.
I think the interesting part is that when we were prepping for this, is they tried this. They did this again or before in 2018. Kind of the freedom of movement type idea. But the understanding here was that they were supposed to be addressing consistency more so this time.
Yeah.
And I think what is interesting is now it's consistently calling more of these defensive fouls, whereas last year all everyone wanted was just call it the same every time. It doesn't need to be more or less on either side. Just call it the same.
Right. Don't stack it towards one team versus the other. And I think what's important too, right, as we kind of wrap this portion up a little bit is like, I just think of the fan impact, and I know we're going to get to this, and I know, again, we keep saying this. It's very early in the season. This very well could just be this like feeling out period between the sort of the way that this is going to go. But honestly, too, like if this persists, you risk losing viewers.
Yeah.
Like in a big way.
Yeah.
Right?
There's kind of two parts of it too. There's a stat saying that 5 teams are already at 103.8 points per game.
Yeah.
Last year, only the Indiana Fever they're the only team that cracked it last year in May, 100 points. But it's kind of two things. You have more scoring, potentially more offense. But if you're also having, like you said, the whistle fest, the no flow, fans don't want to tune in and watch dribble it down, whistle, dribble it down, whistle. Like, that's boring.
Right. So. Yeah, I think you had in the notes here the quote from an NPR interview that Fee did, Nafisa Collier, and she said, you come to watch players play offense and to score. When it's so physical, it's not as fun to watch, was kind of her quote when she was interviewed by NPR. And I think that's like partially true. Like I think I hate to go against Queen Fee.
Yeah.
But I do think that the WNBA had built a brand around like this real pure kind of interpretation or representation of basketball where defense was played and there wasn't like constant foul calling in favor of the offensive player. And I actually think people like the physicality of the W. I think I go back to your point, what we heard a lot more last season and we talked about, it was like, just be consistent.
Yeah.
If you're going to call it tight both ways.
Yep.
If you're going to let it play both ways. At the same time, I always go back to player safety is important. If you are starting to call everything a foul, I actually think that can put player safety in jeopardy too. Right? I just think like you're going to end up with frustration happening. You end up with a lot of like that start-stop situation. Like sometimes flow is what helps players protect players too. And so I just think it's something that we got to keep an eye out.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Well, hopefully it kind of mellows out just a little bit here, and we can watch some real good basketball.
Yeah. It's always something. Yeah. It's always something. We can never have just like.
We're not talking CBA, so that's good.
That's true. We'll take that as a win. Talk to us in 7 years. All right, we are going to move on and wrap up here with just a little bit of an NWSL cover. So I broke down our Week 8 results. Talk a little bit about the top 5 in the table as it stands today. And then I've got a few call-outs on what I'm calling rising and sliding. So who's kind of gaining some momentum these last few weeks and who's losing momentum, right? And again, the importance of where we're at in the season can't be understated. So I think we've got about 2 or 3 more match weeks to play before we go on that break. Starts on June 1st. A lot of players will go do some international duty the first couple weeks of June. Then there's a mandated break in the NWSL CBA for all players to not participate with their clubs, and then they've got about 2 weeks after that to like regroup, practice some and whatnot before they come back around the beginning of July.
All right.
So here's what we got for you. If we go top of the table, we have now the San Diego Wave have reclaimed the top of the table after a couple of weeks sliding back there. They had a big win on the weekend over Washington Spirit.
All right.
Utah, of all the teams, this was not on my bingo card, saw their shutout streak broken. So we talked about that last week. I don't actually know if they beat the record. I didn't look that up. I didn't do my due diligence.
We should have looked that up. Yeah,
they could have, but I don't know for sure. But they continue their unbeaten streak. So they beat Racing Louisville 2-1, but they conceded that goal. Their unbeaten streak is now at 8 games. Insane. We have played, I think, 11 or 12 games at this point. So that's pretty good. They obviously draw. They have more draws or a couple draws in there too. So it's not like they've won 8 games in a row, just to be clear. Portland is in third now. They are winless in their last 2 games after a draw to Angel City over the weekend. So they actually lost to Racing Louisville, of all teams, 3-1 in the midweek. And then they had a 0-0 draw to Angel City FC, who is on my sliding list. I would say from what I saw of the Portland Angel City game, Portland had the majority of the chances. There was some soccer luck just involved.
Couldn't get in the net.
Hit some posts. Yeah, like just wides, like things like that. So I think also Sarah Gordon happened to them. If you don't know who Sarah Gordon is, she is like the fastest center. She plays center back for Angel City FC. Her recovery runs are crazy. Check her out. And then, Washington did drop that game to top-ranked San Diego. This is coming on the heels of an 8-game unbeaten streak for them as well. And a lot of those were actually wins for them. And so they are sitting comfy in 4th place. I did see that Trin played in that game against San Diego, so she's fine
she had
from whatever that knock was.
Or whatever it was,
that happened that we talked about last week. And then Gotham FC is unbeaten in their last 5, rounding out our top 5. Thing that's interesting with them to me is they're not really scoring a ton, and that's problematic.
So the defense is there.
And for the firepower they should have with Lavelle and Jaden Shaw and Esther, many others, it just seems like it should be better. In my view. And you're hanging on the edge of 5th place. Obviously, top 8 go to playoffs, so they're fine right now. But just something to look out for. Okay, my rising teams.
I don't want to give it away, but
I didn't.
2 expansion teams.
2 expansion teams.
Look at them go.
So did I say? Do I say? Boston is on the rise, y'all. They are out of the basement. They are no longer in last place. In fact, They are, believe this or not, unbeaten in their last 5 games.
I had to go look up the stat both ways, like the unbeaten and losing in the first 5.
Yes, after losing their first 5 games. So they have points now in their last 5 games. They have been able to find the back of the net finally. And so they seem to be adjusting to their scheme. We talked about that a few episodes ago. They're now sitting in 14th, but they are on this nice little swing.
Let's see where they go.
And we're going to see what happens. Okay. Kansas City Current. I complained about them. Now they're on the rise.
Reverse hexes are working.
They are now in 6th, so a little different story than Boston, but they've won 4 of their last 5. They are scoring goals. They have finally unlocked Temwa Shawinga. She scored that hat trick last week. She scored again this week. If they can keep her going, keep Croy Bethune going, keep Ali Sentnor going, they are going to be in good shape. It just took them a minute.
We were talking, was it Chris Armas?
Armas, yeah.
We were talking hot seat for him.
We were talking hot seat.
They were talking hot seat on the television for another game for him. Like they were thinking one more game there. And
so he figured it out.
Yep, good.
And they are on the rise. And then my third team on the rise is my Denver Summit. And I say my Denver Summit because that's my adopted NWSL team. They are now in 7th place. So they are inside that playoff, early playoff picture. They have won their last 2 games. They are scoring a lot of goals in their wins. Their losses are all 1 goal. They only have 1 loss on the season by 2 goals.
Okay.
And everything else is a 1 goal loss. We have seen they have had a hard time going back to like the Aces Atlanta commentary, right? They have had a lot of times where they've had a lead and squandered.
Yeah.
And that is not what you want to see.
Not what you want to see.
So we will see how that goes. I am super excited that these expansion teams are having success.
Yeah.
I think that's really good for the league.
It is.
It's a bummer when those teams kind of just sit in the basement. So to see Boston, even though it's 2 slots out of last place, like to see them kind of boosted out of there is
you got to start somewhere. And also Denver is going to get Lindsay Heaps here soon.
That is a great call. Yeah. After that World Cup break, she comes back or comes into camp with them or comes into whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, teams that are sliding. The Orlando Pride. We talked about this last week, and Barbara Banda is...
She can only do so much.
She is inevitable on the pitch. Like, she will score you goals.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to not let goals in.
She can't be the Barbara Band-Aid. Like...
Yeah, the Barbara Band-Aid. It's amazing. Yes. And so they're in 9th place right now. So they're right outside of that, again, those playoff spots. But they've lost 4 of their last 5. They are, like I said, always scoring because Barbara is inevitable. But they are conceding too many goals.
Yeah.
And so if I'm coaching over there, I am looking at my defense, I'm looking at my goalkeeping, and I am trying to understand. And it's not just defenders in soccer. It's not just the defenders who are at fault for defense. It's like, is my midfield doing their job?
Yep.
Are my forwards executing appropriately? But my scheme on defense is what I mean when I say that. They also lost back-to-back games this past week to the 2 expansion teams.
Oh, no.
And let's just say Orlando Pride won the Shield 2 years ago.
Yeesh.
So you're established. You've been here. You shouldn't really be losing to teams that have very, very low expectations. Yeah. But they're also fun and whatever. There are lots of energy behind the expansion teams. Houston now is in 13th place. They are winless in their last 5 after starting pretty hot on the season, but they are struggling to score.
What is this?
Yeah, they have only scored 1 goal in their last 5 games. And so that is not good. And then Seattle also backsliding. They're in 11th place now, winless in their last 5. No goals for them in that period. They had 2 0-0 ties. So like their defense can be good, but they got to figure out how to score.
Get LoJ over there. She needs to pump that team up a little bit.
Yeah, can you take Niter from the Torrent and Flage from the Storm and just put them on the field?
Put them on the field.
They'll figure it out. And then my last one here on sliding is Angel City. So they're in 12th. So I kind of had 11th, 12th, and 13th in my bucket for sliding, but they are winless in their last 5.
Yeah, a lot of winless in the last.
I know.
That's wild.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then teams we just didn't mention. Bay FC has been sitting just in the middle all season long.
Right where they want to be.
They're just like right in 10th place. They've been like between 8th and 10th the whole year.
I feel like we talked about that at some point.
They're
like
sneaky.
You're sneaky.
They're going to sneak in.
Yeah, they just want to be right there.
And then we didn't mention Racing Louisville and the Chicago Stars.
Yeah.
Who are basically a guaranteed win at this point on the schedule.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
I will be interested to see as Mal Swanson's minutes increase. Yep. Right now they're monitoring or managing her minutes. And so does that make a difference?
Yeah.
They seem to have a lot more problems than just needing one more forward on the team.
Another thing to call it, I didn't check beforehand, but Nair went out.
I didn't check either.
Like
if she's hurt
or leg injury last game, so I don't know if that was permanent or whatever.
We'll have to look into that. All right, so that's a little rundown here on the teams. 2 topics I just want to hit on really quick before we go into what to watch. We mentioned in headlines Gotham FC is on the move. They are in advanced talks. So to be clear, this is not finalized, but it seems like it's likely.
Yeah.
To move locations for playing their games from Harrison, New Jersey, where they play right now, to Queens, New York, where a brand new stadium is being built for NYCFC. I was listening to a podcast today where a reporter was talking about this move, and this new stadium is supposed to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Queens, New York is also a very diverse neighborhood, and it's ripe for soccer fandom.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, and then the other thing I wanted to mention is that Gotham, despite being one of the more successful teams in the league, has struggled to get consistent attendance. Yeah. And so I could see where the league and the owners may be interested in exploring this, at least for the time, right? One thing to note for our audience who may not be as familiar with NWSL is that we primarily refer to them as Gotham FC, but their actual name is NJ-NY Gotham FC. Yeah. So they are New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC. So it's just something I'm going to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah. Is the stadium that they're currently playing in, is that a soccer? Like, is
yes.
it purely soccer? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're changing from.
No. Okay. It's a shared venue though, Sports Illustrated Stadium with the Red Bulls, New York Red Bulls maybe. And so it's, I don't really know why they're not drawing as many fans, but if you just were to take population density alone, you would assume that they would be getting more people to the games if they make this move to Queens.
This just came to mind. This is just total off the wall. They moved to Queens so that a different team could also move into New Jersey.
Possibly, right? And then the other thing just to keep an eye on, again, we don't have a ton of reporting on this yet. This was an article from Cutback, which I think covers primarily soccer topics or football topics, but these changes to the high impact player rule. So when we talked about this in a very early episode of ours, around the hip rule or the Rodman rule, as it's become known here, the high impact player rule was rolled out saying, hey, teams, you can spend up to $1 million more than your salary cap on a player who meets these specific criteria. Yep. And a lot of it was geared towards the marketability of that player, not really on their soccer, objective soccer ability. And it's interesting because what that means is that essentially the media would be dictating who potentially qualifies for this rule. And so I actually, if this is true, and again, I only have one article going on this, but there were, again, this podcast, there were reporters who do this, were talking about it too. But what's true about this is or what I like about this, I should say, is the NWSL is assessing it and making adjustments quickly.
Yeah.
I think they've realized that is limiting and biased and could be swayed in a big way.
Yeah.
What this unlocks potentially is overseas talent coming into the NWSL. Assuming that there are players who maybe didn't meet that original criteria who now could come in and sign the kind of contracts that they want to sign.
I think it's interesting that they're adjusting quickly on this. I mean, we said 10, 15 episodes ago, is the WNBA taking note from the NWSL? Because the NWSL seems to at least try quickly and to make things figure out how to make things work better.
Yeah, agree. So we will be keeping an eye on that, more reporting. Just to put a bow on it there, that rule was not set to go into effect officially until July 1st of 2026, which is kind of post this World Cup window. So it could be interesting to see what happens, because now the European season is winding down. There's going to be players who have their contracts ending. Like a Sam Kerr. Right? Will we see some big news in that window that doesn't involve international play and other things like that? So
I think we might.
We got to watch out.
All right, let's move it on to what to watch.
So much.
I mean, I really tried here. We've got WNBA. We've got 3 games: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oof.
I'm going to now list off all 12 games. No, just kidding. I'm going to list
we'll post these on our socials.
Yeah, one per day. Thursday, we've got Toronto Tempo, who's 2-2 currently, versus Minnesota Lynx. See that in League Pass or Victory Plus. We've got Friday at 6:30 p.m. Golden State versus Indiana Fever on Ion.
Oh, all right.
It's a pretty good game. We have Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Central, Los Angeles Sparks versus Las Vegas Aces. And you're like, why do we pick a 1-3 team versus a 4-1? Because sometimes you just play the game and something happens.
That's right.
And so if Los Angeles can pull us out, I think that'd be a really fun game to watch. And then Sunday, 2:30 p.m. Central, Dallas Wings versus New York Liberty on Peacock and NBC. Like we said, these are all on a million different channels. So no reason.
You just turn your TV on, you'll find WNBA basketball, which is a beautiful thing to say.
Yes.
Also, I just want to call out another thing that's been really cool is that the broadcast quality of these games is awesome.
Very good, yes.
They've brought in some fantastic analysts to come talk about these games. You had Cynthia Cooper on I think it was the Prime Video broadcast. You had Sue Bird and they have made it like we've always been here doing this, and it feels really good.
Yeah.
Just wanted to shout that out. Good job.
Yeah. NWSL, just one game on Friday, 7 p.m. Central, Boston Legacy versus Seattle Reign. Let's see what Boston can do.
A rising versus a sliding team.
Yeah, there you go.
Somebody has a chance to either keep going or turn it around.
And keep sliding.
well, keep going. You can go either direction.
Yeah, either way. Saturday, there are 3 games. I picked 5:30 p.m. Central, Utah Royals versus Denver Summit.
Ooh.
Hey, look at that on Ion. And then on Sunday, noon Central,
all right.
Kansas City Current versus Portland Thorns, CBS and Paramount Plus.
Let's go.
All right. And in my notes, I have PWHL if necessary, and it's necessary. Ottawa Charge versus Montreal Victoire. Game 4, Wednesday, May 20th, 6 p.m. Central.
So that means if Ottawa can win that game, you're likely looking at a championship Friday or night, Saturday back in Montreal.
I think it's scheduled.
Is it?
I didn't grab the time and date, but it's out there.
That's okay. Go look it up.
We'll get it there if we need it.
Don't jinx Ottawa.
Yeah. No women's elite rugby. They're on a break this weekend. But college softball, like we talked about, There were the exact times were not out as we were recording this. They start on Thursday and go through Sunday. This is the matchup list. Alabama versus LSU, Nebraska versus Oklahoma State, Oklahoma versus Mississippi State, Texas versus Arizona State, Florida versus Texas Tech, Tennessee versus Georgia, Arkansas versus Duke, and UCLA versus UCF.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep in mind as they get into these super regionals, if you're watching and you find a team to latch onto, they play a best of 3 series right now. So you're going to see games like 3 days in a row with those same teams, and they're kind of like staggered throughout or whatever. So go find a team that seems fun and latch on.
Yeah, cheer for them.
Have a good time.
All right.
Okay.
We've got not winners and losers. We rebranded. We have momentum and setbacks.
Okay. Do you have a setback right off the bat? I have to think about
my setback was Rickea Jackson and the potential if it's an ACL.
Yeah,
which it likely kind of looks like it is.
That's mine too, I think.
That was a big bummer to see.
Yeah, I have never heard an arena so quiet.
Yeah.
And just like thinking about her rising star too, like she was,
and with everything she dealt with this year.
Yeah. So our thoughts are with Rickea and the Sky. Trying to think if I have another setback. I mean, we've talked about a variety of things. I think in general, we'll be watching really closely this whole like refereeing thing in the W, because the season is so important.
It is.
And you need people to want to watch.
Yes.
And so we need to make sure that we're aligning that growth potential and the desire to keep doing that with player safety first and foremost, and just an ability to actually execute the game the way it's kind of meant to be played. Make it entertaining. So that might be mine right now. Momentum?
I mean, I was going to go with Boston Legacy. I said that stat, the 5 losses to start the season and then 5 unbeaten is awesome. So I think they've got the momentum.
Definitely.
I had penciled in Montreal and then I kind of crossed them out because as we were prepping, they lost. So
my momentum is the Ottawa Charge.
There you go.
I think they have the momentum right now.
Yeah, they might.
I think they have the momentum to get the next game.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would seal the deal for the whole thing for them yet. But I feel like reverse hex, I hope they prove me wrong.
Yes.
Right?
There you go.
So my momentum is with the Ottawa Charge. I also love seeing, like I said before, just Boston Legacy and Denver Summit be successful. It's so good for those fan bases, those players. It's good for the league. Yeah. So we're happy to see it.
All right. I think that's it. That's all
Episode we got. 20 is a wrap.
It is. Follow us on Instagram, RTG_pod. YouTube, RTG_pod, Substack, RTGpod.com, Raising the Game podcast at gmail.com. I think that's all of them. I think I got it right.
Like I said before, I wouldn't. That's a lot. That's a lot. Well, we appreciate y'all being here. Hope to see you back next week.
20 more. Let's go.
20 more.
Bye.
Bye.